Hello, Chris here, and welcome to a lesson on matching information to paragraphs. So in this kind of question, you're asked to match statements to paragraphs in the reading text. So you're given a list of statements and you have to match that information to a paragraph in the reading text. The statements could be reasons, descriptions, summaries, definitions, facts, or explanations. Basically, you don't know what they're going to be, so don't make any assumptions or assume anything about it. You do not need to understand what the whole paragraph is about. Just find specific information in the paragraph and match it to one of the statements. The answer will normally be contained in a whole phrase or sentence rather than a single word. And we'll show you examples of this in a second. So there's testing your ability to skim for general meaning of paragraphs. They're also testing your ability to find specific information in a paragraph, and then reading carefully in order to fully understand the meaning to decide if it is the correct answer. So I would describe this as kind of a pure reading question, because you're using the three skills, the three main reading skills, and you're using them in that order. It's actually quite rare for reading questions to be like this. Normally, you'll be doing a lot of skimming and not much scanning, or a lot of scanning and not much skimming, or you'll be doing a lot of reading carefully and not much of the other two. For this question, you have to do all three. That doesn't mean that it's difficult in any way. Actually, it means it's quite straightforward. So let's look at some common problems. The biggest problem is the fact that you need to look at the whole text. So in other words, it's going to take you a long time. The answers might not be the main idea of each paragraph, so just skimming is not going to give you the correct answer. So this is where a lot of other strategies and a lot of other theories and techniques fall down, because if you're just skimming, you might not be able to find the correct answer. There is also lots of irrelevant information that you do not need to consider. Again, time. So, you're skimming a lot, you're looking at a lot of information. You have to be strategic in how you look at things. Not all paragraphs contain an answer, and some paragraphs contain more than one answer. Again, really this question is about time management and strategy. So let's look at some advice on how you can get over those common problems. Do this question last. If you do other questions first, you will become familiar with the passage, and this will help you identify the correct information more quickly and easily. So again, this is about being strategic with your time. If you see this question, leave it until the last. If you can do the other questions in that part. I don't mean do this the last question of all the questions, but when you're looking at that part of the reading test and you see one of these questions, just skip it and leave it until the last one. Try to find names, place names and numbers in the questions. These are often easier to find in the text. So someone's name or a number is very, very easy to find. So think about those when you're doing these. Be aware that there may be synonyms. For example, you might see 34% in the question, but it might say just over a third or about a third in the text. Okay, so it's all about strategy, really, this question. So let's have a look at the strategy. Number one, of course, read the instructions carefully. Number two, read the questions first. Think about synonyms and how you could paraphrase the statements. This will help you identify the answer. Saying each statement in your own words can help you do this. Number three, quickly skim the reading text to try to understand the general meaning of the text. Read the question statements again and predict which paragraph contains the answer. Scan the text paragraphs you think might contain the answer for synonyms. If you find a possible answer, underline it. So as you can see, you're not scanning anything. You're not trying to find a particular point where the answer is contained until step 5. You might think that that's a waste of time, that you just go immediately in and try and find it, but doing the skimming does actually help. I would not tell you to do something that was a waste of time. Number 6, check back with the question statement and mark the answer if correct. If not, move on to other paragraphs. And that's it. So let's have a look at a real question, and we can use this strategy. Okay, so we're going to ignore the text, quite a long text. So that's why when I said, do other questions first. So you might have like a true, false, not given, or matching headings or something like that. So if you did the true, false, not given and matching headings questions, you will become very familiar with this text already, making these questions much easier. So what we need to do is we need to read the instructions very, very carefully. So sample PAS 7 has 8 paragraphs labeled A to H. Which paragraphs contain the following information? Write the correct letter A to H in 1419. You may use any letter more than once. Okay, so that's useful information. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we understand what these are. Next, we need to read the questions or read these statements. A comparison of past and present transportation methods. How driving habits contribute to road problems. The relative merits of cars and public transport. The writer's prediction on future solutions. The increasing use of motor vehicles. The impact of the car on city development. Okay, so next what we need to do is think of synonyms and think about how these might come up. So past and present, so it might be like yesterday, in the past, today could be present, in the modern world, as many IELTS students like to say. I doubt that. I'll be very surprised if it is that. But so transportation, a lot of this seems to be transportation. So I don't think we could use transportation as a synonym, because it just doesn't really help us, because there's too much of it. A comparison, so when you compare, or it could say comparing, so it might not be have to change the word form or change the word, but it might change the word form, like comparison, comparing, compare, and thinking about that way. Driving habits, road issues, road accidents, road concerns, merits of cars, the good things about cars, the values of cars, the features of cars, public transport, so it could be buses, trains, stuff like that. Prediction, future solutions. So prediction could be talking about the future, what I think will happen in a certain date in the future. Increasing use of motor vehicles. The impact of the car on city development. So city developments, changes to a city, things like that. Okay, now we need to skim, because it would be very, very difficult. So why are we skimming? Why are we not just scanning? So it would be very difficult to just try and find this amongst all of this. So there's quite a lot of information here. So what we want to do is just skim here very, very quickly to give us a better idea of what's happening. And that's going to make it much, much easier to scan. Okay, so increase use of motor vehicles. Talking about the use of motor vehicles, really. Talking about the problems. Talking about the past. Changes to cities. Comparison of cars and public transport. Solutions to that problem. Long-term solutions or future solutions. And talking about the future here as well. Okay, so as you can see, that by just scanning that really, really quickly, that's already given us an idea of where the possible answers might be. Now what we need to do is we need to think about things in a little bit more detail. So we need to scan now. So comparison of past and present transportation methods. 100 years ago. Okay, so it's talking about 100 years ago. So I probably think it's going to be here. So let's go back down and read the statement again. A comparison of past and present transportation methods. So invention of the motor vehicle brought personal mobility to the masses and made rapid freight delivery possible over a much wider area. Okay, so it's talking about past and present, 100 years ago, talking about horse-drawn carriage, so I'm happy enough to put that one as C. Let's look at the next one. 15, how driving habits contribute to road problems. So that's talking about some problems there in E. I'm not sure if it's E or F. How driving habits contribute to road problems. So it's really comparing how they are driven. Driving aggressively. Okay. So driving aggressively, how they are driven, driving habits, road problems. I'm going to put 15 as F. Okay, the relative merits of cars and public transport. So when we seen that in E, they were comparing public transport. So when you're going through these, just note like what's this one about, what's this one about, and that will help you. That's why it's very, very useful to skim. And what I would actually do is beside each, I would just write down what each one is about, if you can, if you have time. So car transport is 7 times as costly as rail travel. So that's comparing cars with public transport. Trains or buses. Good. Okay, so we find that one. So then you go down and double check. 16, merits cars, public transport. That's going to be E. 17, prediction of future solutions. So there was... So normally when someone's talking about the future, it's going to be towards the end. And when we did skim, we noticed that there were some things about the future. Some argue that the only long-term solution is to design cities. More likely scenario seems to be a combination of math. Okay, so both are kind of talking about writer's prediction on future solutions. So this is talking about these are some things that might happen, and then this is him saying, so this might happen in the future, but this is what I think is going to happen. This is the more likely thing that's going to happen. So this is the actual prediction that he's made. So just double check. Prediction 17H, yes. So the increasing use of motor vehicles, I think that was at the top. The rising number. Okay, so the rising number of motor vehicles, it's here. So that one is A. 19, the impact on of the car on city development. Cities. So how cities adapt, how cities are built to accommodate cars. So that one is D. Okay, so answers are C, F, E, H, A, D. Let's see if I'm correct. C, F, E, H, A, D. Okay, so as you can see, probably the most important thing is the skimming that you do at the beginning, because that's going to help you orientate yourself and know where to scan. But it's really, really important that you use all three skills. You need to skim, then scan, and then read carefully to find the correct answer. And if you use those skills in combination like that, then you will get the correct answer. If you miss one of them out, so let's say you don't skim, it's going to take you a very, very long time to actually scan and get the correct answer. If you don't scan, then you're not going to find where it is exactly, and if you don't look carefully at it, then you might miss the actual correct answer. So you shouldn't answer every question like that, just this one. A lot of teachers say just skim, then scan, then find the correct answer. For this one, yeah. For other questions, no. So be very, very careful with that, and hope that you find that useful. And if you have any questions, let me know.